Today I'm going to show you how to do a simple text fade in and fade out in Adobe After Effects the right way. So I have some text in my composition here. Fade in, fade out, could be whatever you want it to be. And I'm going to twirl down our properties of our text layer here. Now in the text property, there's this little button, animate. I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to add a opacity property, and then we can see here that it's going to add this animator 1. Now this is where the fun part happens. We can start changing the animation rather than having to go into every single letter and make keyframes for every single thing. It all lives with just one layer. So what we're going to do first is we're going to set the opacity to 0%, and that's just going to fade it out. Now, if you're thinking, well, I could just animate this property, well, you could, but the problem is that it's going to scale up and fade up all of the text all at once. And I want every single letter to have its own animation. So we're going to undo that. We're going to twirl down our range selector property, and we're going to go to the advanced tab. Now the thing I want you to look at here is the shape. The shape is actually going to help us create this really organic looking animation with our text. So we're going to go to the shape and set it to ramp up. And now we'll see on our text there's an interesting effect where half of it is fully opaque and the other half is transparent. Now what I need to animate is not the opacity property but the offset. So if I change this offset property right here, we can see that something is happening. And we can see that this little bar on our screen is moving across the text. That's what's happening on the back end to create this really cool looking effect. So we're going to set a keyframe for the offset at -100% at the beginning of our timeline, go forward to about the 2-second mark, and then we'll set this to 100%. So now if I play this back, pretty cool. Now I want to polish this up just a little bit more. So what you're going to do is go into your ease high and ease low, and these numbers could be anything you want. It really just depends on the look you're going for. It's basically adding like an animation curve but with numbers. So we're going to set this to 70% and 70%, and now if we play this back one more time, looks a lot more organic. And when it comes to an animation like this, this is just a way in which you can make your titles feel a little bit more natural, more cinematic, so to speak, because you're getting a lot more detail with just a couple of keyframes. Rather than having all the text fade up all at once, you're getting this really organic animation of the left to right. Now, what if I want to have this fade out from left to right as well? That's where we're going to duplicate that same effect and just recreate it. So I'm going to pull out my work area here, and I'll set this to the about 8-second mark, and I'll just put my playhead over there. Now I'm going to bring my timeline up just a little bit, and I'm going to select this animator 1 and hit Control D to duplicate that. Now if we play this back, nothing's changed. What I first have to do is hit U on my keyboard and bring the second pair of keyframes that we just duplicated and drag them to the end. Now this is weird. Now we're getting this animation where we are fading out at the second half. That's because we're basically duplicating the animation. What I want to do is reverse it. So we're gonna twirl down our properties for our text and then open it up once again, and we'll go to this animator 2. Now in the advanced tab, we're going to go to our shape and we're going to set this to ramp down, and now we're going to get an effect like this where it does exactly what we need it to. So what's basically happening is that the ramp up is creating the animate on effect, and the text will just live there for about 5 seconds, and then it will fade out from left to right. And you can change the shape of this depending on where you want it to start. You could actually just invert these shapes and create some interesting text effects. But we'll talk about that in another video. I hope you learned something. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below. If you have questions, comments, concerns, whatever else, comment section is down there for that as well. Hit me up on Instagram at JohnJagsNey, and I will leave you with one final tip. Eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight and you'll make some gains. Goodbye.